If you're a product designer, a front-end dev, or that special person who does both, you know the pain. That huge gap between a killer idea and an actual working interface? Yeah. Well, Google just dropped Stitch 2.0, and you need to pay attention. This isn't just another update. It's aiming to completely rewire your entire workflow.
So, here's what we're going to do. We'll start with the problem that drives us all crazy. Then we'll see how Stitch first tried to fix it. And then we'll get into the really good stuff, the quantum leap that is version 2.0. We're talking a God's eye view of your project, a totally new way to think about the design handoff, and finally, a brutally honest look at what this new AI copilot actually means for your job.
All right, let's start with a pain point we all know intimately, the Great Divide. That frustrating, back and forth, manual grind of turning a beautiful vision into code that actually works.
I mean, on one side, you've got the designer's brain, thinking in flows, feelings, and fluid user experiences, and on the other, you have the developer's reality, translating that vision piece by painful piece into functional code. Connecting these two worlds is where all the friction happens, all the misinterpretations, all the wasted hours, and that is the exact problem Stitch was born to solve.
And that brings us to the first version of Stitch. It was designed to be that initial spark, right? A tool built to just leap over that chasm and turn raw ideas directly into interfaces, right from the get-go.
At its heart, Stitch is basically an idea-to-interface translator. It's powered by some serious AI, like Gemini, so it can actually understand our messy, human ways of thinking. You know, plain English descriptions, even scribbles on a whiteboard, and it turns all of that into clean, structured, and honestly pretty beautiful UI.
And the workflow is just beautiful in its simplicity. You could literally just describe your app, maybe snap a picture of a wireframe you sketched, and bam! A functional mock-up would just appear. It was all about taking the chaos out of those early creative stages.
And that was its magic trick. As AI Fire put it, you could go from a thought bubble to a working UI in minutes. That speed was a game changer. But, and this is a big but, it was still thinking one screen at a time.
But that was then. This is now, and this is where Stitch 2.0 takes a massive quantum leap forward. It stops looking at single screens and gives you what I can only call a God's eye view of your entire project.
Welcome to the canvas view. The source material from AI Fire calls this the battle map, and that's just the perfect metaphor. You're no longer looking at one individual component, you're seeing the entire field of play, your whole user flow, all at once.
Now, this isn't just a gimmick. This is a fundamental shift toward what we call stateful design. You can actually see how a button's state changes from the login page all the way to the confirmation page. If you change the font on the sign-up screen, you can immediately see if it clashes with the profile screen. Stitch 2.0 understands the entire journey, which is something single-screen tools just can't do.
And it does all this at incredible speed. The secret sauce here is a tiny, lightning-fast vision model called the Nano-Banana Model. It runs right in your browser, which means you can literally circle a button on your screen and just type, "Make this pop," and it happens instantly. There's zero latency. It turns design from a slow, clunky process into a real-time conversation.
Okay, so seeing everything at once is powerful, but it brings up the one question that has haunted every single designer working on a big project. What if I could change everything, everywhere, all at once?
Well, say hello to the Infinity Gauntlet. That's not my name for it, that's what the sources are calling the new multi-select feature, and it fits. You just hold down the Shift key, you click to select every screen you want to change, and you apply a global update with one prompt.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. One single prompt. Change all primary buttons to this hex code. Update the entire app's font to Enter. And with a snap of your fingers, that change just ripples across your entire project, maintaining perfect consistency. It is a massive time saver.
So, you've just designed this incredible multi-screen app in a matter of minutes. But what about that final, crucial, and often painful step? Getting that design into the hands of developers and hooking it into professional tools like Figma.
This was where Stitch 2.0 gets really smart. It doesn't lock you in. It gives you two perfect escape hatches. You can export clean, ready-to-use front-end code for immediate development. Or, and this is the potential Figma killer feature, you can export a fully layered Figma file. But get this, it's not just a one-way export. It's a two-way sync. You can edit the Figma file, and the code actually updates. This finally truly closes the loop.
Okay, so we've seen the power, we've seen the magic. Now it's time for the brutally honest take. Where does this tool actually excel, and where does it still fall short?
Which, of course, brings us to the big question on everyone's mind whenever a tool this powerful comes along. Is this thing coming for our jobs?
The short answer? No. But the longer answer is way more interesting. Stitch 2.0 is an absolute beast for rapid prototyping and for building what we call CRUD apps. You know, your standard dashboards, forms, data tables. But for that deep, nuanced user experience judgment, for truly unique and artistic animations, for the complex strategic thinking that makes a product great, it still needs a human.
Rogerio Amorim from Medium just hits the nail on the head with this quote. Think of Stitch as the ultimate co-pilot. It's there to speed you through the tedious heavy lifting, but you, the human, are still the pilot navigating the trip.
And speaking of being a smart pilot, here's a super important pro tip from the sources. Before you do anything, go into your Stitch settings and turn on the Privacy Shield. It's an option that stops Google from using your work to train its models. For any sensitive or client project, this is the absolute first thing you should do.
When you really step back, tools like Stitch 2.0 make it pretty clear that the future isn't AI versus humans. It's the AI-assisted human. It's about taking our creativity, our strategy, and just supercharging it, letting us build bigger and better things faster than we ever thought possible. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build with your new Copilot?